Hey guys, welcome back. I have invited my friend John Gilmore. Thanks for coming in, John.
Absolutely.
I reached out to him recently and asked him if he would be open to or interested in doing a financial reset. And John graciously said, yes, I will. Welcome, John. You want to tell the folks that are watching a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm John Gilmore. I'm here in Vancouver, Washington. I own C Street Tax, a tax firm that does taxes for self-employed people. All of my clients are self-employed. And this is a new business I just started last year.
And you're doing just single member LLCs?
Nope, no. There are sole props and single member LLCs. There are partnerships. I have multi-member LLCs and S corps as well. And
do you have like specific industries that you like to work with?
I specifically like to work with people who are a little disorganized, like a little bit, like a little chaotic, and kind of.
Don't you feel like
anxious?
All business owners at some level are disorganized?
Yes, that's to some degree, but I really am building this firm around this like archetype of person that I like, which is this person that's kind of pushing at the edges and growing and building, and I think that they are kind of like compliance is like kryptonite to that growing energy that they have, and they're like really ashamed of how bad they are at this. So that's kind of the core person I'm building for. And I'm doing that because I like that person and I want to enable them to like actually keep building. So I'm just trying to build like what they need. And that turns out to be this, which is like a kind of an annual plan where I'm reaching out monthly and helping them with kind of keeping track of what's going on in their tax world. And we handle the filing as well. So,
which is nice to hear you say, because a lot of people or business owners, one of the things that I see them struggle with is, what do? They only meet with their tax accountant once a year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, what do you mean I have a big tax bill?
Right. And they tend to, I think that they tend to, that's not the most valuable time to be thinking about taxes when you're filing, because that's all just retroactive stuff. There's a few things you can do after the fact, but the most valuable thing to be talking about is the future and like decisions you're making right now. And in particular, things you probably shouldn't be doing. And it's not just like about expenses and stuff. It's like people will do a thing with an expectation that it's returning a certain amount of cash to their pocket, not accounting for how much it's going to get hit by tax. And they wouldn't do that if they understood the tax implications. They'd be like, it's not worth the extra hours to do that type of project. I'm going to do this instead. Mm-hmm. So I try to get that information to people as quickly as possible so they can make better decisions.
Which is awesome that you take that approach, because that's one of the things that I find as a business owner and working with business owners is we should be paying attention to this more than once a year, more than twice a year. And so part of that, and why I invited you to do the financial reset, is I think because of what you do, and probably why you said yes so quickly, because you did respond right away. Well, actually, you tell me why you said yes.
Okay. Well, first of all, I have always benefit when I talk to you in my life. So like you always provide a useful frame for me to think in. Even this company that I started, I came and talked to you before I started it, and you gave me some really important advice. I was looking to build a bookkeeping, accounting, tax firm.
When you first came to me, you said, "Hey, I want to build a bookkeeping firm. Here's my thought process behind it."
Yeah.
And it ended up leading to...
Well, you said, what do you actually want to be doing here? And I was like, well, I want to be doing the tax. And you're like, and what pays the most? And I was like, the tax. And you're like, well, why don't you just do the tax? And I was like, wow, what an idea. Which is awesome. So now that was instrumental. So good advice, but you also just have good operations advice. And you and I are both kind of operations people, but we actually, I always feel like we've come to it in different ways. Like I've come to being a somewhat organized operational person by getting kicked in the face by life so hard so many times that I had to get together. And I feel like you're maybe a slightly more naturally inclined to it. I'm not sure if that's true. Maybe you just pretend to be. But
yeah.
But at any rate, there's like a synergy there. But I find that you have a lot of insight and So I knew it'd be valuable. That's the first reason. And the second reason is I just finished my first tax season. For part of the season, I was completely on plan. So I do have a, like, in my mind and kind of on paper, like a financial plan of like how much revenue I'm adding. I've been aggressively growing. I've been hiring before I could really afford to. I borrowed money to do that. And because I wanted to get as much growth as I could during this first season. That means I need to be managing my cash flow really closely, not doing that as well as I should. And essentially, I need to answer the question to myself of, am I going to cut stuff? Am I going to borrow more? Or am I going to grow more this summer? And can I grow more? And how do I do that? And really, I'm wanting to answer those questions before I even have like the fundamental things, which is like, how much money am I making? How much am I spending? Because I don't want to answer those. It's like too hard to figure out sometimes or think through. So
yeah, no, and I think that's why it's great that you're here to do a financial reset, because that's what we say. It's a financial reset is really saying, okay, when I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed, or I've got all these things going on, I've set, like, these are the goals that I set for myself. You and I talked about what that was when we met last time. And then it was okay, now it's time to sit down and say, where am I actually at today?
Yeah.
And is it, so with a financial reset, we just say, hey, let's look at your income. Where's your money coming from? Where's your money going out? What are your expenses? And what is it that what lifestyle do you want? And is the business supporting that?
Got it. Yeah. So income, expenses, and lifestyle. That's really nice and simple. I like that. That's good. No, I like it.
As your business grows, and this is for the audience out there, sometimes as we walk through this, you'll find expenses are pretty much expenses. I think for the most part, it's easy for people to figure out that. But sometimes I also see when you're writing down your income, as your business grows, the complexity of that, I think today we'll probably keep it fairly simple, but understand that they're not always all this easy. I think about when I sit down and I look at when I do a financial reset for myself, it's a lot more complex today than it was when I first started. So I say that as a caveat that we want to show the simplicity of this, but also understand that it's not always simple is not always easy. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay. Cool. John, I see that I'm not surprised, but when we first talked about you coming and doing a financial reset, you really didn't know what we were going to go over today.
Right.
So let's first start with step one. Now, I want to tell the audience this, and also for you. We say that there's these 3 steps, and I always say step 1 is writing down your income, step 2 is writing down your expenses, and step 3 is writing down what's the lifestyle that you want. For me, I a lot of times will write down what I don't want in the business anymore. And I say, or these are things that I thought I wanted, or these are things I don't want. We don't have to go in that order. So my question for you is, what order do you want to go in?
I think that's a good order. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with your
at the
income.
top line.
Yeah. Okay.
Work our way down.
Okay. Okay. So how are you currently getting paid by clients? Do you have a structure?
All of my clients have first month initiation fees and then monthly set fees.
Okay. So you said initiation fees. Those are one-time fees?
Yep.
Okay. And then you have monthly fees?
Yeah. Recurring monthly fees. Yeah.
Recurring monthly fees. Perfect. We love recurring revenue in this
I did
office.
that on purpose.
Yeah, we love that. I remember us talking about that.
I have essentially forced my firm into a recurring monthly fee structure so that I can plan my cash flow,
So there's a couple ways. Do you charge, with your recurring monthly fees, are you charging the same amount for all of your clients? Are you charging different amounts? How do you have that structured?
I charge based on complexity, but it's pretty set. So like if you describe a company or a small business to me, I could tell you what I would charge.
Got it. So you're flat rating it. It's just the cost is going to be based off of, like you said,
certain aspects of it.
And
then the initiation fees are like Uber surge pricing. They went up in February, March, and April. They're dropping back down for May. and June, and they will pop back up for July and August and September. So those are like getting bigger during the busier seasons.
And you're only charging those once, just that's
it's
like
an
initial onboarding fee?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one-time onboarding.
They're like 1 month in the slow months, and they're as much as 2 months in the like 1.5 or 2 months worth of payment. So in my busiest, so sometimes it was like you had to pay 3 months in your first month and a 2-month initiation fee kind of rate. So
okay, so you're also, so for cash flow purposes, you're actually collecting a couple months ahead.
But it's not crediting the months. That's all just initiation fee. It's just the cost of the initiation fee is equal to 2 months.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you said it equals 2 months. Are you going to keep that?
It's something I'm really trying to figure out right now, actually. So 2 months was the busy season. 1 month was the slow season. And then I'm trying to decide if I should be charging more. So.
And then you're saying 1 month in the
slower seasons. Sort of my incentive pricing is just like the,
to get in when you're, when you're slower. Okay. Let's start with then your.
I also had one bookkeeping cleanup project, and I really enjoyed it. And I was thinking about when I was talking to you about starting this business, like I do love bookkeeping, but I only really like complex bookkeeping or cleaning up messes in simple businesses that other people struggle to clean up. For example, this person was in Xero. No one knows how to do Xero. I'm really good at taking all the data from the banks and rebuilding a balance sheet and a profit and loss from scratch outside of a software system. That was fun. I love doing it, and I would take more of those. But just as an example, I may take more of those projects in the future. So
okay, so that's something that
for people who are stuck in Xero.
Is it just that particular software that you want to go after?
There's also kind of like people who just, or there may be like.
And when you say Xero, are you saying you are helping them clean up if they're using Xero, or are you helping them migrate to a different software?
So the first thing I did was help them clean up. So a Xero, which is spelled with an X, by the way.
Yeah,
Xero
I keep
cleanups.
That,
yeah, that's probably something I should advertise as Xero cleanups, because now that I understand how it works, I can fix it for other people. And then, that type of bespoke thing, because I'm an engineer, I can write Python scripts to fix data outside of the system, and that's why I'm able to do that instead of like working in it, and then I re-import it later. And so that's really fun. Love doing that. Might do some more of that.
How did you bill for that? Did you bill hourly? Did you flat rate it?
I just flat rated it the first time. I'll probably keep flat rating it, because once you have the data outside of a software, it's relatively easy to estimate how long it's going to take you. I'm not matching invoices, I'm just like transactional data.
Yeah.
Getting them a P&L.
Than how we do it in our office.
It's a little different from Northwest. Yes.
That's okay. So you want to do more of those projects then? It's a secondary. This is an interesting issue for me right now. But if I can get more of my specific target client during the slower season, I would prefer that. If I can't, this is like my first way to backfill revenue to support revenue that I need to bring in. Okay.
It's kind of my thought.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Any other areas of revenue that you've brought in or can potentially bring in?
Nope. No, that's it.
Okay. Let's go with your reoccurring income then. Let's start there. Let's list out now for purposes of this, because we are speaking to the public. Anonymity is important for clients. So as we write this down, we can do client 1, client 2, or if you have acronyms that you use or anything like that, just because for, respect to your clients.
Well, could we just say that there's like 45 clients and a total revenue of $6,800 per month average or something?
I actually am going to say no.
Okay.
And here's why. I would say I would write down all of those clients, or if they are specific client type, because the reason why I would have you write down all of the clients in your industry, because it's your service-based industry, right? It's just you and one team member. by actually seeing who is paying you and how much they're paying you, it also forces you to see, okay, wait a minute, this client, as you're writing down these clients, what I pay attention to is like, oh, this client is paying us $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
They should be paying us $5,000.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I could run through that. So I've got, worth noting, I track this pretty carefully in my system. So
Okay.
I think I can spit this information out. It might take me a minute here, but I could, let's see. So I have L is my first client.
Okay.
And my lowest paying client,
and your
because I gave them a discount. They're paying me $70 a month. And then I have A is my second client.
Okay.
And they are paying me $100 a month. Okay. And then I have H is paying me $100 a month.
Okay.
And B is paying me $100 a month. And then I'm doing this in order of acquisition, so I think I'll be able to do this. Then I have B, another B.
Client B2?
Yeah, B2 is 210. And then I have N, who's paying me 110. You'll see I started to raise prices, like my baseline started to go a little, well, it's going to kind of go like this, but it's little by little. Okay, then we have, all right, let's see. Trying to think here. Trying to get off camera to spy and see if I can find my a client list in my notebook here. Okay, awesome. D is paying me 100. Okay, then we have B3 is paying me 100. Then we have S, who's paying me 100 and 110. And then I have A, who's paying 110. Then I have
we have client A.
Okay, we have A2.
A2. Okay.
Yes, and then we have 100 and let's see. Then we have a client A3 who's paying 150. Then we have client L.
We have client
L2.
L2, okay.
And L2 is paying 200, I think, flat. Okay, then we have client K, who's paying 100. Client S, who's paying 100. S, how many? S2. Then we have, this one we could put SH. Okay, and then we have client P, who's paying 200. Client I, who's paying 100. Client J, who's paying 220. Client A2.
A4.
Okay, A4, who's paying 200. Client LT. Okay, client LT is paying 145, as I recall. Okay, and then client D, maybe 2 or D1.
D1.
Okay, is paying 240. Then I have client K1, who's paying, or K, you could call him K2, but
K2, yeah.
Okay, and is paying 250, and client K3, who's paying 250, and then I have client D2,
yep.
who's paying 100 and 120.
120.
Yep. Client J, who's paying 110. Client S, who's paying 110. Client D4 is paying 550.
Better.
Well, it's more work too.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
Client N2 is paying 110. Client the number 2 what is what I would call this client. They are paying 220. Client H, 2 or 3, and is paying 110. Client R is paying 220.
You said you have 45 clients?
Ish. A couple of these are like merged that I've given you of like
Okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I think I have about 45. There might be, the way I've merged them, it might end up being lower. Okay, that was the end of a convenient list. There are more clients, but let me see if I can remember who I'm missing now. I'm going to just add a couple of others at the end here that I know.
Well, and this is one of those where you can take this back. You can take this back and add to it.
Okay, client. Okay, I know. Let me just mention that there is client I for 260 at the end here. Then there's client N5 for 110.
You want to call it N5?
I don't know. N3 is fine.
I think it's, yeah. Pardon, what was that? What did you say?
110.
110, okay.
And client D5, it looks like.
Yeah.
For 240. And I think there's a few more. But this is...
Right now you're at...
Oh yeah, there's another 12, wonder who we're missing. The number is 6,800 recurring. But there's no other large ones. There's probably a few other, everyone is probably at an average of 150. There's probably 6 or 7 more $150 clients.
You said at 150?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think
what was your...
delete one more of those, and I think we're really close to my actual reality there, right? 6,800 about. Yeah, that's
so
about right.
So we'll have you go back and verify those.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But as far as the way that this, like, the question of, like, how pricing is and how it's spread across clients, this represents it really well, even though I don't have the exact count at the end there.
Okay, so when we look at this, we're seeing that, I think I'm going to organize these. Well, right now, you know that this is what you're bringing in on a monthly basis.
Oh, I did miss one important one. Okay, so delete one of these or 2 of them and replace with a $480 client. Yeah. And yeah, that looks good there because it's $67.95. It's a little under $6,800 as of today.
Okay.
I do have a sheet kind of like the one you're looking at where I go add the people and it shows me the,
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's good.
So if I pulled that open, I would have had this for you, but I wanted to do it by memory because I didn't want to
It's
open my
good
computer.
information for me to know for the next time I do one of these. Usually I prep people better when they come. So
That's okay. Yeah.
But in this case, it's at least a good starting point. You know that this is what you're bringing in monthly on reoccurring.
Mm-hmm.
Of this, I'm curious, what service are you? Because thinking about it, to me, this is low considering the industry that you're in.
Well,
so I'm curious, what are they getting? What are you offering for?
Yeah. So what I'm doing is an annual tax filing of like a Schedule C on these $100 ones, for example. And then, so my firm is like highly automated. So I'm doing outreach that is like on a monthly basis, like a text message that is automated. That's like, hey, I want to check in and get an update of if your like revenue is changing, and then putting that into my system and sending them like tax advisory, like if things are changing. So like it's very, very, it's not like it's highly automated, although I'm doing a lot of operations to build those automations. And the $200 ones would be like an S Corp filing instead of a Schedule C filing. So that's the basic split here. So monthly outreach, a quarterly estimate of like how things look, like a Loom video quarterly that I'm like sending them. I'll pull it out of their, pull it out of their bookkeeping if their bookkeeping's done. Otherwise, I'll just ask them what's going on.
And when you say quarterly outreach, is that you're saying are you actually meeting with them?
Mostly asynchronous stuff. So like I'll make a Loom video that's like over their data and say, here's what I see going on in this thing, and this is changing your tax outlook in this way, and let me know if you have questions, and then sending that to them.
Got it. Okay.
So it's what I would call a really light advisory, and mostly they're paying for a tax return at about, for the Schedule C version of this, they're paying about $1,300 to $1,500 in the first year, including the initiation fee. And for the S Corp version of this, they're paying about $2,500 or $2,600 in the first year.
So here's what this is equating to you for on an annual basis with these different clients.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the ones that are expensive is because they have like 2 or 3 entities, like 2 or 3 Schedule Cs, or a couple of them have like an S Corp and like 2 S Corps. So they're $500 or something monthly.
Okay.
Mm.
Are you seeing any patterns in what you're doing? When you look at this, I'm curious. Let's put your clients in dollar amount order. So you should do a count on this, but what's the difference between your person who's paying you $550 per month versus your $70 per month?
So my $70 per month is it's not a great example for this because they're super easy. That's a super easy client. They're very, very non-demanding, very much just doing the annual return and then sending them like just checking in with a monthly, like how's revenue look, anything changing dramatically. Okay, kind of hands off. But let's take a look at like a $100 client. Mm-hmm. And I'll just think of any number of these. Let me just scan my mind and think of the most labor intensive one of these to the least. The most labor intensive is like they tend to ask quite a few questions about like, hey, like, am I supposed to be doing this for my state like B&O taxes, or do you help at all with the city ones? Or they're kind of like hoping that I'll be kind of a catch-all helper, and I'm having to send messages. It's like, no, you probably want to get a bookkeeper to help with this particular element if you want help with that. And just that response is a little bit labor intensive, honestly, and being kind of thought of as like their tax person at $100 a month on the most difficult one of these feels like underpriced to just be like their catch-all tax question person. Most of the $100 ones are working really well. It's what I expected, which is pretty light. I'm reaching out to them. They're sending a quick response. I'm kind of updating my information, and I'll be ready to do the tax return annually. And I'm like prodding them with like.
And are they paying you ahead of time for their services? So, because if I heard you right, this includes your tax filing. So if I were to hire you today is April 22nd. If I hire you, let's say we start May, how are you determining? So if I pay from May to the end of the year, is that going to cover for you to file my 2026? Like how do you have that structured?
The way that I originally set it up was like, I'm going to try to make sure I get paid at least half of what I want before I file a return. This is like internally the way I've been thinking of it, but it's ended up that like, so I'm not filing any returns before April 15th. 100% of my returns are extended. My clients are all self-employed. They all owe money. And I'm basically saying I'm going to be available to advise my clients through the tax season, not busy filing. So we're just going to get estimates out for your quarters. We're going to get an extension estimate out, only do that part, not do the quite intensive finalization of returns, making sure, the review, making sure it's 100% right. Didn't do any of that in April, only doing estimates for 2025 and Q1. So first of all, I'm extending everyone. So that way I get paid more before we file. So that makes this arrangement make more sense and be more fair. But the issue you're bringing up is one that I am now beginning to face. So I haven't really had to face it much because I only onboarded a couple people in April. April was way slow. I didn't have people coming in. March and February. March was a little bit slow too. February was right where I thought it would be, like exactly. January was exactly where I thought it'd be. March was way slower, like a lot less incoming business than I expected. It was still okay so that's why I took on that one extra project that came my way. And that also is an ongoing customer for tax. It's just I also added the kind of cleanup thing up front, which I was able to charge for. So all of these people, I'm not filing until later, so I will be getting paid pretty well. And it's my expectation that I will have a low rate of them like canceling after the fact. So I'm thinking in more of like a 5-year timeline that like I'm not too worried about if I'm getting paid perfectly in my first 6 months. Mm-hmm. But I am starting to worry about it as I'm becoming more valuable and I have more leverage. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that I use that to command the right prices. I don't want to be stuck in like a model that's not. I want to charge as much as I possibly can for the customer that I want to serve. Right. I don't want to work for big businesses and charge them a lot. That's not what I want to do. I want to work for this customer, but I want to charge as much as I can for this customer,
Considering the value that you're bringing to the table, how much time do you think you're spending? Because right now, based off of this, you're about 40 clients. Mm-hmm. How much time are you spending on this?
So the model that I drew up is that I would spend at most half an hour a month on everyone, at most. But there's some clients that I probably spend as much as. April's a weird month because people had a lot of questions. They needed me to re-explain to them why we weren't filing, why we were extending. There was a lot of that. Okay, so April's kind of a weird month. But if I look at like March, I would say that most of my clients I was able to spend 10 minutes to 30 minutes, and I was right on that. And then there's a few clients where I was spending quite a bit more, but most of my time was being spent on acquisition and onboarding new clients, right? So it's still hard for me to measure whether that 30 minutes is going to be real, Like that's still hard for me to measure.
Do you have a way to track your time that you're using right now?
Currently not tracking my time, no.
Do you think it's valuable for you to track your time?
I historically have tracked time and found it valuable. I've recently, just the last week, thought, okay, it might be time to start tracking my time so I can understand, kind of measure this stuff. But yeah, so that's probably a good idea. Yeah, I could imagine that being really helpful. I just hate having to put in people's names and create different projects and remember that I'm tracking different time to different people, because I do about 9 things at a time all the time. So, but once I get in a habit with like Toggle, which is what I prefer historically, of just like, don't do anything until I tell it that I'm doing it, Since I'm not billing through time, I haven't wanted to have to track through time, but I do think that it could be operationally pretty valuable.
Well, do you want to grow the business? Do you want to have, do you want to grow the business where you have people doing the work for you, or is this something that you want to stick more as a solopreneur?
Well, now we're talking about lifestyle.
We are. Yeah. This is usually what happens is when you go through this, we start talking about the lifestyle. Because what I find is, and this is where we can start writing those notes down for lifestyle. Because you're right, it comes down to lifestyle. If you just, I know when we first spoke, before you started all of this, you said you just wanted to be a solopreneur. But what I heard you say to me today is you have a team member.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't know I was going to be able to hire the person that I hired. So someone that I've wanted to work with for like a long time randomly texted our group of friends and was like, hey, I'm looking for some work. Someone who I trust like deeply and have known for like a long time. And so I brought someone on board early before I could afford to. So what do I want to do? What I want to do, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do, but I definitely want to build a very, very big company, like as big as it can be for the form that it is. So if it's a firm with 2 people in it, I want to do like 10 times as much work as other people think you can do with 2 people in it. If it's a firm with 100 people in it, I want to do like 10 times as much work as people think you can do with that big of a company. I think that the AI-enabled world gives us so much power to scale this stuff that what I'm trying to build is like maximally AI forward, maximally technology forward, maximally automated. So I'm not trying, if I could have 20,000 clients at $30 a month, I would prefer that over.
Why?
Because then less people, like the less that people are paying me, then the less control they have over my life. So the lower the ticket to me, like the less that's like ideal. I'd rather have $60,000 of revenue from 20,000 people than $60,000 of revenue from 20,000 people rather than from like 20 people. Because then those 20 people can ruin my day by firing me or whatever, I want to be able to the main thing I want is to be completely free to speak my mind, to be myself, and to not be cancelable. That is my main goal in my career these days, is to stay out of trouble. And this is why I needed to build my own business with small ticket revenue so that I can't be fired by my boss for saying the wrong thing, for being too moderate on all policies, and for not picking the right sides of everything. This is essentially my goal right now.
Okay.
It sounds like a joke, but when I sat down a year ago and was trying to decide what do I want to do, it was like, well, I'd like to be able to write, for example. Like I have a background as a writer, won a National Writing Award. I've probably told you this before. What does that mean to want to write? It doesn't mean I want to be a novelist. Doesn't mean I even really want to write. What I mean is I like to be able to express ideas. I feel like as a working dad with a large child support payment, it's become a thing I don't do. I don't express ideas because it's like too complicated to be exactly myself in business. It's too complicated. It's too high risk is the way that I've felt for the last decade or so of my career. And do you feel like that was because you were working for somebody else? Yeah. It's because, I was working in almost at an executive level. And so you have to have a certain amount of decorum, So I'm trying to build the non-decorum company where I don't have to have decorum.
Okay.
I don't like decorum.
No, decorum.
Yeah, I don't like decorum. And so I'm trying to advertise myself to my clients as this person who's like exactly the person that I am, which is like, by the way, I think there's nothing, I think that like, I really like that person. And I think almost everybody that I interact with does too. Like they enjoy working with me, but I regularly in like the corporate world would always get feedback that was like, well, don't say it that way, or like, don't, like, you probably should like do this differently or something. And I was like, that's okay that I'm getting that feedback. That's probably true for like being an executive, but I don't want it to be true in my business.
I gotcha. What I'm hearing is, so I'm curious about this. What I'm hearing is it sounds as if you are, okay, I understand wanting to be yourself, being authentic, but it sounds like you're tying in your value to being who you are. Does it make, where I'm going with this is yes, I hear you say if I have 20,000 clients that are paying me $30 a month, and if I lose 20 clients, it's fine, versus if I only have 20 clients paying me $10,000 a month, if I lose 20 clients, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Do you see where there could be a balance where you don't have to have either or, like why you have to keep them at such a low rate?
Well, I'm only giving the low rate example to make the point, right? That like one of those, your clients have more leverage with you than the other, right? Like the fewer number of clients you have, I feel like, this is like in the world of like content, people talk about audience capture. Like you don't want to get captured by you don't want your audience that you have to be a certain way for your audience. This happens to like producers of content. It's like that. It's like, I don't want to have to be a certain way for my customers. And I think that I also decided to go into tax for this reason, to build something that they just need. Nobody cares about what their tax person is like. Ultimately, they just have to do it, right? So like at the root of it is that. And then on top of that, I'm trying to stack something really valuable so they do think it's like I'm actually getting tons of value, but they're not fundamentally like, do I like my tax guy? That doesn't really matter. So my point, I'm saying all of this to just point out that like, when it comes to like, yeah, there is a medium there's a medium way to do these things. Certainly, yes. But if you're asking kind of like, what is for me, what's the vision? The vision is that I get to operate like on interesting problems, and the content that I produce matters, the solutions that I produce matter, and like my style of doing it just doesn't fucking matter. That's what I want. I very much want that. We can edit that out if we need to.
No,
this is not my podcast.
Just because for time purposes, I value your time, and I know we're going to end at a specific time. We can run through your expenses.
Yeah, let's do it
right now, and then I would say let's schedule a follow-up, because I want to dive a little bit more deeper into this, the psychology behind how you're thinking about your clientele.
And so in the immediate future, I want to essentially double this in like the next 6 months, if possible.
So
I think I can do double this many clients with my existing team.
Well, I'm going to send you home with some homework too, because part of what I want you to look at is when you said your goal is to only spend 30 minutes a month on each account. I tacked that on here. It's 120 minutes. So if I divide that by 60, we put you at 20 hours a month. Is that realistic? Are you spending only 20 hours a month on the clientele that you have right now?
That is not outlandish. We're definitely in the range of that. Yeah.
Okay. So part of your homework is I want you to go back and look at this and say, realistically, for each of these clients, finish putting in the remainder of your clients here, and then realistically put how much time do you think you're actually putting against each of these accounts?
Yeah, that may be very hard to do, but I think I need to start tracking time to be able to do that. And I think it's a very valuable now that I think about it.
Well, do you want to eventually add more team members?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is where I say tracking time, especially if you're in a service-based business, it's good to know like how much time it's taking somebody, because if your expectation is at some point you are going to hire somebody, it's good to know how much time is it realistic that we're going to service this client for these particular services that we're providing them, right? Because this will allow you long term to say, hey, when I do hire people, how much workload can I justifiably put on their table?
Yep.
And also then at those you can start looking at the metrics of what's your actual cost to provide that service? Are you actually profitable on that, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah, which I don't usually think this way. I don't. I just think like I have this idea, I have a strategy. The strategy goes this way, it's going to do this in the future, and that's how we're going to get there. And then I'm just going to try to like hold on cash flow wise until we get there.
Well, and our goal is, and this is part of why it's important to go through this, is saying, okay, this is what I'm doing today. You just told me you want to double this in the next 6 months?
Yeah, by October. Yeah, because if I don't add any clients, this is the revenue I'll do next month. When I add a client, and I have initiation fees, that really helps with the cash flow that month, right? So, I had $10,000 of cash flow in March. I'll have something like $7,500 in April, because of initiation fees that are not reflected in that number. But I want that cash flow to be
true. We're not
$12,000.
Yeah. Okay, so your initial goal right now is $12,000.
Just so that I'm like not needing to borrow more money, basically. Yeah.
So you don't have to borrow.
That's where I want to get it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, let's talk about again, looking at time.
I can do my expenses a lot faster.
Okay.
If you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so expense-wise, I have software expenses like ChatGPT and Claude, Codex. I'm not actually. Oh yeah, I am paying for Claude. Okay. Codex. Okay, so ChatGPT is about 260 between me and my teammate. Claude is 100. Wait, I forget. There's tax on this stuff, so it's actually like 290 including tax. Thank you, Washington State. Claude is like 110. Codex is included actually, but put API fees instead of Codex. This is another 120, which is to OpenAI. Okay, and then we have, what do we have there? Is that $500? 420?
520.
520?
520.
Okay, that's about right. Then we have payroll. I'm paying about, including payroll tax, $3,650.
You said how much?
$3,650 a month.
$3,650?
Yeah, that doesn't include Gusto's like $90. You could throw that on next. And then
and to confirm, that's not you paying you. That's
no,
paying
that's not paying me. Yeah, that's paying my one employee. And then I'm paying $400 a month right now for executive coaching.
Okay.
That I cannot afford from a coach who is worth way more than that. And so I don't know what to do about this problem.
Okay.
Okay, then I have...
So what I heard is you want to pay them more, or you need to pay them more?
They charge a lot more than that.
Okay.
They're a faculty member at Columbia Business College in New York.
And they're giving you a break?
A really good break. I know them really well. And it's very awesome, almost kind of like very woo-woo spiritual executive coaching from someone who I think is a genius. Anyway, but I can't decide what to do about this. Anyway.
What is it that you can't decide about it?
If it's okay for me to keep paying, keep running at a loss in my business and also paying for things that are not absolutely critical right now. And then my wife will be like, I do think that's critical for you because I think it's really helping you with your mindset, things like that. Right? My wife is like a very true believing supporter.
That's awesome.
Get you one of those.
Yes, absolutely. It can make or break.
Yes.
As a business owner, it can make or break you.
Yeah. I totally agree. I had a client that I took on who has like a really chaotic situation, and I was like looking at everything, and I was like, before I take you on as a client, like I need to ask you really like seriously, how's your marriage? Like that's what I need to know, because how much progress are we going to be able to make is highly dependent on how this is going elsewhere. Like how the other people involved are doing. Okay. Yes. Then I have 24 a month on Loom, 11 on Dropbox Facts.
You said how much?
$11.
11 for Dropbox?
Yep.
Okay.
I've got $6 on 11 Labs, which is an AI voice thing. Another $6 on some dumb thing on my website that I have. X, I'm paying for X because I was going to do marketing there, but for $8 a month. I have another software tool for $4 a month. The other ones now will be bigger. I have a CRM type tool and some marketing that I'm using that's $200 a month. I have Calendly for $13, Google for $60, like workspace stuff. Mm-hmm. GitHub $4.50. Supabase, which is
how much was GitHub?
GitHub is like $5. Okay. And then I have something called Supabase, which is $195. This is like 95? The $195. This is the database for all of my stuff, Supabase. Then I have Vercel, which is $50, VERCEL. I have TaxDome, which... How
much is the Vercel?
$50.
50? Okay.
I have TaxDome, which is $100. Zapier is $33. Stable Mail, which is $30. And Quo, QUO, for $80.
Any rent, utilities?
Yes, I forgot rent. I have it. I also forgot on this list. Then I wrote it over here. Rent is $650.
Okay.
There's some other stuff that is probably missing. Like I'm not accounting for any of my home office or anything here, but this is not a tax P&L. This is
we're talking about true expenses that are coming that are hitting your cash flow.
Yeah, this is a good representation of it. There's things on here I want to cut. There's things on here I'm grappling with cutting.
So if we take your income
somewhere around 0.
Well, currently it says you're netting $660, and you're not paying yourself.
Nor am I paying the IRS. I'm also planning to borrow from them all year.
Yeah, I was going to say there's nothing in here. Nothing built in.
But I mean, obviously, most of these are legitimate business expenses, if not all. So there's very little that I'm going to owe the IRS.
Are there any expenses that at some point that you'd like to add in here besides paying yourself?
I would like to hire another person.
You want to hire another person? So
the person that I hired is an operations person, the first person I hired, and someone who I think I could make a partner in my company. But they are not the tax person that I wish I had in my company. I now have the opportunity to hire the tax person, who is the former controller that I used to work with that I know really well, who I've worked years with. She's come available. She's in the Philippines. She's about $11 an hour. She's a genius. And I think I might bite the bullet and hire her because it's just so much value for what I'm getting.
So you want a VA, is she a tax accountant, you said?
She is a corporate accountant. But I could turn her into a tax accountant. I turned her into a corporate accountant when I worked with her for 2 years in the past.
I remember you.
She's just awesome.
So if you were to hire full time, it's $11. Is that your total overhead for that position, or is that?
I want to pay her $15, but she's told me she could come on as low as $11. She's earning $15 right now, but she wants to work with me again. So $11 is the starting situation.
Why don't we build it in for the 15 since that's what she wants?
Yeah.
Because what that does is it gives you, yes, she'll take it for 11. But I like to, especially when you find good people, we want to take care of those people. And we know that that's what she's currently making. Yeah,
right. Yeah, so that would be 40 hours a week. She would, so.
And does that include the overhead costs that you would pay to?
In this case, I would just have to pay her that. I wouldn't have to pay her anything else, as far as I understand, hiring out of the Philippines. So, yeah, I might need to fund her with a new computer, and I would probably finance that through Apple financing for $300 a month, because she has a crappy old computer, and I want our team running local LLM inference for privacy purposes.
And you said you want to do $300 per month.
Yeah, I get like 0% 1 year Apple financing, so I did that for another computer that's one we could add on here. I'm paying a $300. It is a cash flow expense, even though it's a little bit.
Yeah, that's what you're paying right now.
Yep.
Do you know when it ends?
February of 2026. There goes the rest of the money.
Okay. So when I look at this, you have an income problem.
Oh yeah,
because your
money.
Expenses are pretty low. You've said you borrowed money outside of the Apple loan. Do you have other money that you've borrowed?
Yeah. So when I decided to hire my employee, and also just basically my living expenses are like my personal expenses are about $6,800 a month. That happens to be the same number we were looking at here, but unrelated. That's what it costs my family. $2,300 of that is child support for my kids at their mom's, my ex-wife, and then it's about $4,500 for
your household,
my household. So from the start, when I was building this, I was running on savings, and I knew I would run out of money, and so I borrowed money on a personal loan. I've borrowed I don't have to pay it back until next year. And then I borrowed, and then I got all my credit cards so that I have like $13,000 worth of credit cards that I'm basically paying my child support on credit cards right now. So yeah, so there's I'm definitely incurring debt. I see.
How much debt do you think how much debt do you think you have?
Okay, I have 16, 26, probably 26.
Okay, so what I want
probably $35,000, and I also have like $7,000 in my bank account, or $9,000 in my bank account. So I guess you would say, if you want to subtract that,
estimated debt, because this is something that. So when we're looking at your net income, right? We're just looking at income versus expenses, but part of your expenses, this is more of
it's like debt servicing.
Your debt servicing, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't. Yes, we capture your interest under your net income, but in reality, what this does is this leads into cash flow tracking, right? Yes, you only have $360 left at the end of the month to cover $35,000 of estimated debt, right? So this is where I say there's not a lot of expenses that you can cut here, because these are pretty reasonable expenses that you have here. So to me, you have an income problem. So what we want to talk about next time is figuring out, okay, the first thing is you need to be able to pay yourself. And you're not able to do that right now. So I would say when we look at your income, let's meet up again and go through your income, have you finish filling this out, put in reasonably what you're spending here. Because again, what we haven't talked about is how much is your person spending on this time rather than you, right? Because again, you're looking at building your business. We want you to be able to focus as much time over there as you can. Because again, my first issue I see here is you're not making enough income yet.
Right. I agree. Yes.
But you do know what your personal expenses are, right? So you're at $6,800 right now to cover your base expenses. You are. I don't think $12,000 is enough.
Yeah, I think I mean. a little more than 12,000. It's probably 13,000. I was thinking of it in terms of what I think of as like $100 equivalents, but my price has gone up from 100 to like 110. Anyway, so yeah, but 13,000 is like the line where,
because if you look at right now, to cover your current expenses, you have $6,400, a little over $6,400. But if we were to add in,
right, yeah, hiring this other person is a problem.
Down here, what we want to do is we want to say, okay, first and foremost, one of the biggest mistakes business owners make in the beginning is taking on debt and not figuring out how to get the business paid for themselves too, right? So to me, one of the first things we need to figure out is how do we make sure that you can get paid and you don't have to continue to take on more debt, right? Now, yes, you can do that for a short period of time, but you don't want to build that habit of always getting in debt in order to be able to, again, pay yourself, right? So that's one of the things that I would focus on is looking at your income, how you're billing your clients, what specifically are you providing to them, and at what point, if you want to add this person in, again, taking out the computer, if we're saying, okay, this is what you need to make, then we're going to say 6,800. Then you want to add this person. Let's say it's going to be $15 an hour. I'm just going to put in a buffer of 20%. And then from here, and let's say you do another $300 per month for her computer. Realistically, you should be doing like your initial, what you want to, I would say if I were you, I'd be working towards is bare minimum. This is what your income needs to be.
Yeah, and that doesn't actually cover taxes for my personal.
And that's still not addressing the tax side.
Yeah.
Right? So obviously your taxes right now are going to be pretty low because
sure, but as soon as we get the 6,800
right?
for me, then there's tax on that.
And what this is not addressing also is we haven't even discussed how you're going to, or what your options or plan are for paying off that debt you're currently in. Because you got to be making payments towards that debt.
Right.
And again, that's why I say, okay, initially you're saying, yeah, I want to be by October 12,000, but realistically, we want to get here bare minimum. I would say, again, bare minimum 17,000.
Yeah.
So then
right. So my thought is that if I'm at 12,000 by October, then the tax season that hits the next will lift me closer to 20,000. Like my view is that I can add capacity way more than you would anticipate. Like I could be wrong about that. The thesis of this company is that with the team that I have described there of 3, that we can do like 500 clients. That's the thesis here. I don't think that it always takes me 30 minutes a month. That's like what I'm wanting. I want it to take less and less and less and become more and more automated.
Well, and the goal is, how do you also remove yourself from it? You already have a team member who's doing operations, so it's getting clear as to what are they doing for you, and then if you're bringing on another person to do that, there's time that you're going to have to, it's associated with, you're saying she's a corporate accountant, you want to train her to do tax accounting. Okay, that's great, but there's also time that you have to put associated with that, right? So it can limit how many clients you can take on at a time.
Yeah, it's true. Annoying realities. I don't like realities.
Which is funny because this is part of the benefit of doing a financial reset is you say, hey, I'm working towards getting to 12K by October, but then we sit down and we say, in reality, I want to get you to a bare minimum 17,000 by then. Right? So then the question is, okay, what has to change, or what do you need to work on to move the needle to get to there?
Yeah. I don't know. I have some ideas, but I don't know.
Because to me, when it comes to lifestyle, right now, your business, like, to me, number one priority is to get you paid.
Yeah.
You have to pay yourself because you can't sustain yourself on debt forever.
Yeah.
And you don't want to build that. I'm not saying that you can't use debt. There's good debt, bad debt. But again, you're growing this. But is there a way that you can grow it without having to put yourself in more debt?
Mm-hmm.
I think there is. I think you've got a lot of opportunity here.
Yeah. But can I also do it with no decorum?
I think you can. Because I know the type of client that you're looking for, and yes, you can.
They don't care about decorum.
They're just like, give a shit done. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so to me, this is a good start for a financial reset, right?
Yeah.
It kind of gives you, like you said, some reality of where you're at. Where's your income coming in? What expenses do you have going out? And really kind of like what's the next step of what to work on. And I think we can dive more into this, but again, I want to, I've already taken you longer than we originally planned. So
pretty good though. Yeah, this is helpful.
I was going to ask, what are you feeling? What are you thinking right now?
I'm feeling like so I have a certain kind of weakness with thinking about business in the context of profitability. I've never really worked at a company, except for like that one tax firm that you knew me while I was working at. Never really worked at a company that was making money. Like I've done all of my life in venture funded companies that are always losing money. I've never worked in a company that was making money. Like truly, they're just always losing money, spending investor money to try to build something to the next level. And so I don't have a muscle for like thinking in terms of profitability. I only have a muscle for thinking in terms of growth and debt and venture funding and things like that. And so it is true that I want to build what I want is something that is stable. I know I don't have that yet. That's obvious, right? It's not news to me that I'm, living off of debt right now. But what I'm trying to figure out is how to reconcile the stability I do want to get from the company with my lifestyle desires of really just remain untethered to like large clients. Even though it would be much easier. I'm not a person who, I am capable of closing large deals. It's kind of been an intentional desire to not do those. And I'm just trying to figure out like how to not get sucked into the big demands of like that kind of work if I have to take it on to make money. I don't know. My brain is just immediately thinking like, great, I just have to go find a $10,000 a month client. Like I could go do that, but I don't know if I want to, like a fractional work that I am capable of doing.
Is it something that you would consider, and I'm not suggesting this is what you do, but is this something that you consider doing temporarily as you build the smaller clients?
Right. Yeah. That's like when I look at this, I think, so I have a cash flow hole that I need to fill. There's debt. There's investment. I don't see investors in this company. That's not really, I don't think, an investable company. There's me funding it. And I can fund it through, if I had savings, I could use that. Or if I have other ways of earning money, I could use that, and I do have other ways of earning money, like other consulting thing. But I do see that as taking me out of the business. Like if I'm working with big clients, we could do it under the same company name, but it's a totally different strategy, right? And it takes me away from being in the strategy where I'm trying to build on this kind of flywheel that I'm trying to get going for like really small clients. That's okay, but that's definitely one of the things I'm considering for the summer. When I say like doing cleanup jobs and stuff, that's one of the things that I'm thinking, like that's away from that flywheel, but it allows me to fund what I'm trying to build.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I think that's very smart for you to recognize is that, yes, I could go do these one-offs, but it is pulling you away from the idea of what you're trying to build here.
Yeah.
So the question is and it sounds like what you're doing is you're working on how do you streamline what you're currently doing. I think it's looking at the cash flow, right? I think the next step is now that you know where your income's coming from, where your expenses are going, I would say, what I would do next is saying, okay, I need to build a cash flow tracker here and say, realistically, I'd be looking at how many clients does this take me to get to that if I keep charging the current rates that I'm charging. is there a way for me to increase my rates that I'm currently charging, right? Is there a way I can give more value to my clients without giving more time, using some of this automation that you're working towards that I know you're really good at? How do you find something that you can easily add on there that creates more value for your clients so that they would be willing to pay for more?
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at this, you can run through this and say, sometimes just adding $5, $10 a month to a client, even for the current services. Again, this is where I would say, looking at how long have they been with you? When does it make sense to, these are the things that I start thinking about. Renewal rates. Do you have them sign contracts or lengths of terms? Things like that, where maybe
I don't have contracts. And so I do think that once I do intend to raise prices on everyone pretty consistently now that they understand the value. Anyway, go on.
So I'm going to ask you this: based off of what we've done here, what do you think is the next thing that you need to work on?
I think I need to build a cash flow map, like a cash flow plan for the next 6 months that properly accounts for the cost of the employees that I would like to hire, the team I would like to build, and then understands like what are the trade-offs that I have to make if I want to spend that much on people.
And pay yourself.
Yes, right. Because one of the other trade-offs would be to not pay myself, and that is an expensive trade-off to take on more debt. That is a trade-off I could do, but not forever. I don't have access to much more money.
Well, and this is why building that, like you said, a cash flow plan helps you be able to. Building that out will help you be able to see, hey, I can run it where if I add somebody, where can I add that person? How many clients? Realistically, how many clients do you think you can add in X number of, next couple months? This is where you can start playing with those numbers and saying, okay, is this realistic? Is this not realistic? And like you said, what are the trade-offs to it? Because one of the things I don't want you to fall into is because you have that history of working for companies that don't think profit first, right? To me, I think that's what gets people into trouble, right? Yeah. Yes, that is one method that you can use to grow your business, but you're a small business owner that I say, wait a minute, why don't you just build in profit like right away? Like, how do we get you profitable right away as fast as we can, so that now you have options, right? Now you have that freedom to figure out which, like, getting to the point where I'm at, where I'm like, is this really what I want to do anymore, right? Do I want to shift into this new role or to this new role, or, right? Hey, I'm in a new season of life where I now want to go be a coach for my kids' Little League, and I need to free up my time for that. Can my business support for me to hire another person?
Right. I think one of the things I need to figure out is whether my employee is interested in being a partner with me, because that's why I want to work with this person. And if they legitimately are, then we should talk about that and change the structure of pay.
That's a whole different episode.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm realizing like the structure is wrong right now. I'm paying an employee a bunch of money that I can't afford to pay.
Well, and you're right. You said this is somebody who you think you can partner with. So I would say the things that maybe that is part of one of your, I want you to tell me 3 things that you're going to work on next.
Okay. So I got to figure that out. And I have a very honest relationship with this person where we could talk through it and see what they think. They've been here a few months now.
Maybe the only question you have to ask them is, would you be interested in partnering in this? We don't have, and just start and open the conversation. You don't have to make any promises or anything like that.
Yeah.
One of the things I would keep in mind though, if you do that, what is the lashback, or is there a lashback if they decide to say, yes, and you start going through that process, and for whatever reason you decide actually this is not a good decision, is that going to impact them staying on as an employee?
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot to think about there for sure, but there's, yeah. So the other question I need to solve is the cash flow plan. And then the third thing is I need to consider what the least distracting high revenue opportunities are that are in front of me. I need to basically list the revenue opportunities in order of how much they distract me from the flywheel that I'm trying to build,
Okay.
Yeah.
When do you want to meet next?
Tomorrow. Just kidding.
You're going to have it all done by tomorrow?
No. Yeah, I don't know when we could meet next.
Well, we don't have to talk about this on here, but okay. So you have some homework then.
Yes, I do.
Okay. How are you feeling?
I'll pay you 10% of my profitability.
Don't tempt me.
I feel good. This is exactly what I needed. This is when I was kind of mapping this out. What I had done was I'm like, okay, so I'm burning through all my money with all my expenses. So I'm going to have to cut my family personal expenses, and I can kind of see how this fits on the credit card, and just sort of doing like fake math in my head, like, oh, okay, 5,000-ish a month that I need to borrow. And then I was like, okay, well, if I add a certain amount of clients over the next few months, that will cover that, help that cushion little by little. But it's all just like kind of imaginary. I mean, it's like what startup people do, where we're like, just keep going,
Mm-hmm.
just don't quit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, yes, you got to have that grit. You got to keep moving, but you want to be strategic about what moves you're making.
Yeah.
That's part of the benefit of, to me, doing a financial reset, is that you are saying, hey, I'm moving in this direction and things are happening, but are these the right decisions, or am I making the right decisions? You have to look at this on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, you look at it at a regular basis, because if you're not, you might be going off over here when in reality you're off track, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's where this kind of, like you said earlier, it brings it back to reality for you, of saying, hey, wait a minute, I want to do this. Should I do this? But again, it gives you a simple of, okay, what do I actually need to look at next?
Yep. Yeah. It's true. This is like looking at the truth a little bit ahead of time before it hits me in the face. Before it kicks me in the teeth.
Well, and I want you to be profitable, and I want you to do it with the least amount of effort or stress,
pain.
Right? Pain, yes, yeah. And it's not, listen, building business can be very painful.
Pain is okay to a degree.
Okay, but if you can, but it doesn't have to be as painful, right?
Yeah, right. Per unit of pain, we want more profit. Higher profit per pain. Awesome.
John, I appreciate you. This is something that doing a financial reset, especially in a public forum, right, you're being transparent and vulnerable, which when it comes to money is very hard for people to do. Mm-hmm. And so by doing this, I know you're going to be able to help somebody out there who's kind of probably maybe in the same boat, where maybe they're in the first year or two of building their business. And maybe they're like, yeah, I think I want to do this, or I think I want to do this. And sometimes you just need to look at the numbers.
Yeah, I hope so. That would be awesome. And then they should come talk to you. I don't know if you guys have thought of that yet.
Yeah,
you could use this to get them to talk to you, and they should.
Yeah. Well,
I think this is very valuable. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where, thank you for leading into that. If you are someone who's struggling with this, or you're like, what do I do next? I want a financial reset. I'm getting overwhelmed. I've watched this video and I'm like, that's a lot of work, or I don't know how to think through this. Then yes, absolutely hit subscribe, reach out to us, and we'd be happy to sit down with you and help you like we're helping John.
Thanks, Crystal.
My pleasure.